Hi everyone, I'm Stuart Kavanagh and welcome to the After Extra Time podcast where we talk about the big news, the big games and the big names in the English Premier League. As usual, I'm joined by journalist, Manchester United fan, editor-in-chief of the sportsbank.net, author of Transatlantic Passage, How the Premier League Redefined Soccer in America, and my co-host, Mr. Paul M. Banks. How are you going today, Paul?
Oh man, it's a great day. Real Madrid and Manchester City both lost. Ever have, I don't know, you guys working out, you ever have like a fitness goal or something where it takes you forever to finally get over it, but then the day comes when you do? I had one of those today. Took me 4 months and 5 tries, but I got it done. So
Glad to hear it, Paul. Glad to hear it, mate.
I'm feeling the endorphins from that. Yeah.
And we will touch on the Champions League very, very shortly. But first, today we have a very special guest. He is the former president of the Manchester United Football Club supporters group in Chicago, Mr. Gonzalo Del Rio. Gonzalo, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Stuart. Hey, Paul. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on. I'm very excited to talk football with you today.
It's going to be a good time. So let's just jump straight into it. Paul alluded to it a little bit. Some shock results in the Champions League this morning. Sheriff, we're not even going to bother attempting saying their second name, but the Moldovan champions have gone to the Bernabeu and have defeated Real Madrid 2-1. Can you believe that, guys?
Nope.
Yeah, I guess they didn't shoot enough at the sheriff, so they shot the deputy instead.
That's an incredible result. By all accounts, it was an 89th minute winner. As regular listeners to the pod will know, I was busy watching Liverpool absolutely wallop Porto 5-1 this morning. And then another notable result, PSG defeated Manchester City. And Paul and I were just talking off air, Lionel Messi's first goal for the Parisians.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that. But hey, man, this is what I call the financial fair play doesn't apply to us cup, because these two teams are on their own level. And you know what? You could, with your Paris Saint-Germain, you could, not only can you buy Lionel Messi, but you can, they signed him on a free, but not only can you pay him, but when he doesn't score, you've got so many guys who do it, you don't even notice.
I'm with Paul. It came as a shock when I read that news that was Leo Messi's first goal for Paris Saint-Germain. But also it's pretty, I guess it's appropriate. I'm sure he was brought in to win Champions League. And hey, let's kick off the scoring for Messi in a PSG kit with the Champions League goal. So hopefully, good. Well, I don't want to say good luck to them, but it's definitely going to be exciting to see what they do with all that money they've thrown to players.
I echo both of you guys' thoughts. Leo Messi, it's incredible it's taken him so long to score his first goal for Paris, but he's done it now. And like Paul said, when you've got the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, Hakimi's been scoring goals, Wijnaldum's there, and, the rest of Di Maria, the whole cast of characters, you can afford to have Messi just have a little bit of a betting in period. Let's talk about the Premier League. That's what we're here for. And this is the perfect segue to just shoot straight into our winners and losers segment. As is tradition around here, guests go first. So, Gonzalo, why don't you tell us who won the last game week of the Premier League?
So, I'm a Manchester United fan, so it kind of hurts me to say this, but I think the winners were Arsenal for that victory over their rival, the Hotspurs. I joined Paul at Fado Irish Pub here in Chicago to help promote his book at a local book signing there. And man, all those goals Arsenal scored in the first half, and then just seeing how happy their coach is from the silence. I mean, this meant so much for him. And I'm like, how could you not be happy to see a guy finally really happy being an Arsenal manager? So that's my winner of the week.
That's a great point. I mean, we've really battered Arsenal on this podcast on every episode, and they've certainly made themselves available for criticism. But it was nice to be out there. I didn't plug the book signing last week on the show because at the time we recorded, we didn't know if we were going to do it, but it was great that Fado had us over. had us out there for that. And to see Arsenal fans, like I've said, the team is down, but the passion for the team still remains.
When Arsenal fan there said, he's like, I don't believe this is my team. He's like, I'm just waiting for the real Arsenal to show up in the second half. And I mean, they hung in there. So yeah, but that was funny.
It is interesting to see how things have really changed in North London there. At the beginning of the season, Tottenham were up and about, knocking off Manchester City without Harry Kane. And just a short month and a half later, they're getting comprehensively beaten by Arsenal. That first half must have been incredible for Arsenal fans, watching all those goals go in and to hit form against your arch rivals. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than that. But anyway, Paul, why don't you give us your big winner of the last game week?
Well, last week we did 2 Liverpool supporters and 1 United on this show. And now this week we reversed it. It's 2 United supporters and 1 Liverpool supporter. And this is the classic. You just got to hand it to your opponents. You just got to give them credit for what they did. And I'd say the big winner is Dean Smith or Aston Villa. It was, it was incredible. Emi Martinez, when he did his little dance to taunt the crowd behind goal when Bruno Fernandes sent that penalty shot up into the stratosphere. It's probably who knows what solar system it's in right now. Just all around, they got it done. Credit them.
No one saw this result coming. I thought Manchester
first win at Old Trafford since 2009.
Wow, there you go. Over 10 years since they last won at Old Trafford. The Ronaldo factor, Pogba's in form, Bruno Fernandes is just an incredible player. I stated last week that I'd have Mason Greenwood over Harry Kane. I just thought there was no way in hell that Aston Villa could win this, but they did. And, from the outside looking in, it's a little bit of, Ollie went hard on the referees and the penalty situation or the lack of penalties situation. And then you get awarded one and Bruno Fernandes does a Roberto Baggio and just kicks it to the moon. So my winner of the week. I've gone for a little bit of a outside the box one. I've gone for Brighton and Hove Albion and Everton. Everton won. Brighton drew with my former whipping boys, Crystal Palace. I just think they're sitting in 5th and 6th spot at the moment. They're on that. There's a big logjam of teams on 13 points. Liverpool's top on 14, but that's neither here nor there at this stage of the season. And it's nice to see those guys just in touch still. The top 4 has a very ominous, familiar look to it at the moment, but it's nice to see Brighton and Everton just still knocking on the door there.
Yeah, it's a great story for the Seagulls. We'll see how long it lasts, and it's also a great story for Rafa, and that we all thought that he was going to flop on the blue side of mercy, but here they are.
Yeah. I just thought the position, just with the hatred from the fans, and he's a bit of a yesterday's man. I thought his position would be untenable at Goodison Park, but he's proved everybody wrong so far. And Everton are travelling along nicely.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how Brighton were going to respond to losing Ben White to Arsenal, but I mean, Ben White went up in class, I guess. I know he went down. He went down market, I guess.
Everton, I think, started off pretty well last season too, if I remember correctly, and look where they ended up. I mean, I'd be definitely curious to see how Rafa Benitez handles this whole season. I mean, and with the United versus Everton match this weekend, I guess I'll get a better idea of how Everton are in current shape right now.
Okay, Gonzalo, tell me who lost the last game week.
Well, again, I'm a Manchester United fan, and it hurts for me to say the winners were Arsenal and my losers are Manchester United, but you both just summed up pretty well. They're complete shock that we lost at home to Aston Villa. And I mean, we've had a string of bad results recently. I'm definitely still Ole in, but man, he really makes it hard. I'm very excited to see what happens tomorrow against Villarreal in the Champions League. But I think, Paul, I saw you tweet out that Harry Maguire's out, I think. So it's like, man, Harry Maguire just does not want to play against Villarreal. So hopefully we get a win tomorrow, and then definitely a big win in Premier League on Saturday versus Everton. But yeah, my losers, unfortunately, are Manchester United.
It's really tough because with Aaron Wan-Bissaka suspended, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire out, you're going to have only one first choice defender in that. And, you said you're Ole in. The past week has made me shift from Ole in to Ole on the fence. So a couple more bad results and I'm going to be Ole out. But
valid pick. Manchester United as the losers of the week. Shock loss to Aston Villa. And you guys have made some excellent points. Now I'm going to put my neutral hat on here. I'm not coming at this as a Liverpool fan. And you guys are either going to love this or you're going to hate it. But I haven't always thought, but over the last 12, 18 months, I've always thought the players you've got on the park, you've got amongst the best, at least starting 11s in the world, especially with Varane now. Luke Shaw came into his own at the Euros. Wan-Bissaka is definitely one for the future. You got two, if not world-class, just a notch below world-class goalkeepers. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay is incredible. Fernandes, Pogba is brilliant. Then you've got just a wealth of choices up front. Manchester United should be better than they are now. And I've always had this stance. They're not going to get to where they need to be under Ole. This is just my hot take. I don't think he's the man for the job.
I mean, that's the general rumbling amongst us Manchester United fans of Chicago is Ole obviously has done a fantastic job bringing the culture, bringing the right players, getting rid of the bad players. But yes, is he the manager to bring you that trophy? We will see. I mean, it definitely stinks how I say easy, but it's not, no competition is easy in the Premier League. But with us losing the Carabao Cup last week, I mean, there goes one less trophy that Ole can claim. So it's going to be very interesting. I mean, the top four, the top six of the Premier League is just, it's tough this season. And we really can't afford mistakes. And I mean, if he definitely doesn't improve his tactics, which I think he's proven time and time and again that he can't, I mean, it's going to be really tough, but I don't know. I'm definitely hoping. I'm hoping for the best, Stuart and Paul. I guess that's what I'll leave it as.
I definitely see a great analogy between him and the state of the team and the Chicago Blackhawks during their rebuild, because before, when the former owner of the Blackhawks was still alive and he kept them off TV and they were losers and they were terrible and no one cared about him, they brought in a club legend, Dennis Savard. He was, an icon for the Hawks, and he was the coach, and that was his thing. That thing was, if you're not committed to this team, we'll go upstairs, we'll get you out of here. And he brought in guys that wanted to play, and he got rid of the bad apples, and he made the Blackhawks better. However, it was very, very clear that there's only so far you could go with this guy. And then once they got Joel Quenneville, once they got like a real X's and O's, a real coach really knows what he's doing, then they won 3 Stanley Cups. The team was kind of broken under Jose. There were a lot of guys who were miserable, and the roster was bad from a lot of turnover and bad signings and stuff that really made no sense. And Ole has definitely improved them, but I think we hit a wall here.
Absolutely. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but like, there's no doubt that there's an improvement. It's night and day from the Jose era. Much like your Blackhawks analogy there, I think you just need to get a guy who's a real X's and O's kind of trophy winner. Then look out, it'll be bad times for me as a Liverpool fan. But let's move right along. Paul, who is your loser this weekend?
My loser is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club chairman Daniel Levy. And I'll keep this short because of what the topic of our football focus is tonight. This will serve as a little teaser, as a little intro to what we're going to talk about. But man, for all the talk about what a great hardball negotiator this guy is, about how he always gets his price and what a savvy businessman, you're never getting 150 million pounds for Harry Kane. And I don't know how much it really works about how much depreciation happens with the value and how fast it can, but if we want to see that tested, then you're seeing it with Harry Kane because he's getting closer to 30, and the way his form has been, yeah, he just asked for way too much money, and he's never going to get anything close to that now.
I think he'll be lucky to get. I think he'll be lucky to get 100 if Kane keeps going the way he's going. Excellent loser though. That could be a couple of really good picks for the losers this week. Mine is more of a generalised one. I've gone for Brighton and Everton as my winners because they've kept touch with these guys. But just on the whole, maybe you could take Manchester City out of this. But the current top four, three of those teams had a chance to really put just the tiniest smidge of daylight between them and the chasing pack. Liverpool, Manchester United, and Chelsea all failed to do that this weekend. So my losers are the current top four.
Bold.
No, I agree with it.
All right, loyal listeners, here we are. You know what's coming. The football-focused topic that we have is, boys, we are going to try to solve the Harry Kane problem. There's no doubt after his performance against Arsenal that there's something up with the boy. Always scores against Arsenal, and he did not look further away from scoring than he ever has before in that game. So let's kick things off. I guess the first note we have here is his heart still in it at Tottenham?
Doesn't look like it. And that's really a major disappointment because he gets paid the big bucks. He's the face of the franchise. He's the face of the England franchise. He's captain of the national team in the most football crazy country in the world. And no, he didn't get what he wanted, but that's still no excuse. I mean, he's got to get out there and give it his all, and he looks disinterested.
Yeah, I was completely shocked when he set out of training because he didn't get a move like he requested or wanted. But for the face, Paul, you said it well, for the face of the club, for the face of the country in football, for somebody that's supposed to be so gentlemanly. And I mean, I always picture him wearing a high-class tuxedo. But yeah, he just did not really handle that well. And I mean, clearly his head's not there right now. I mean, I'm sure he wants to be somewhere else. But I mean, would you rather go out a hero or would you rather go out a villain or a loser? And I think he's definitely fizzing out here. You guys mentioned earlier, he'd be lucky to even get 100 right now, 100 million. I mean, we'll see how the World Cup goes next season, next year, if he does well there. I'm sure his stock will probably rise again. But right now, it's definitely not looking good for Mr. Kane.
Yeah, he's definitely choosing the villain route. No goals, no assists in 5 matches. Only 10 touches inside the opposition box. This is the worst start to his career since the 2015-16 season. Against Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago, he failed to take a shot or touch the ball inside the opposition box for the first time in his career. I think it's safe to say he's thrown the toys out of the pram. He's chosen the villainous route, as you mentioned, Gonzalo, and he's been highly unprofessional in my personal opinion. Like you touched on, Paul, he's the captain of the national team. He's the face of the franchise. And, I think his heart is not in it anymore at Tottenham. So that leads on to the next point here. Should Nuno Espirito Santo drop Harry Kane? Can he drop Harry Kane?
Yeah. I don't know if he can drop Harry Kane. That's a great question, though.
Yeah, I don't know if you can either, because remember, he started slow in the Euro, and there was a lot of media scrutiny about when is he going to score, and then he finally came in form. But I don't know. It's really messed up because you look at how dreadful Spurs have been, but yet they won opening day against Manchester City without him. And it's a kind of, you got to think about what's going to be good for both sides. How are we going to get to something that's mutually beneficial? And I say you have to play him, good or bad. I'd say you just got to force him to snap out of it.
honestly, I mean, I fully understand what you guys are saying. Like you said, Gonzalo, can you drop Harry Kane? I don't think so. Like you said, Paul, he did have a slow wind up at the Euros. I would argue that this is a very different situation to the Euros. At the Euros, it seemed like he was a bit overwhelmed in the early parts of it, and then when he come to grips with it, he started banging in the goals. I think I mean, I'm no body language expert, but I feel like it's fair to say that his body language would suggest that this is a bit of a tantrum situation. And given that, I think Nuno should drop him. There's other players in the squad, notably the South Korean Son, who is in form. Spurs have won games he hasn't played in this year. He is arguably the best striker of the current generation of England strikers, so that makes it tricky as well. But if we were going to take a vote, I'd be voting to drop him.
And maybe that's what it's going to take. There's definitely no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah, hopefully this international break does Harry well. I mean, because definitely if Spurs are looking to contend for anything in the Premier League, Harry Kane needs to be in a good place.
I agree with you guys. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the international break will kind of see him get his head straight or whatever. But for the sake of Tottenham fans, I hope he gets his game face on. And if he doesn't, I guess that leads well into our next note here. Is there any way back for him at Tottenham? Or would a January transfer be best for everyone involved?
Well, the January transfer window is notorious for being the junior varsity window, the B team transfer window. And you don't usually get guys who actually move that make that much of a difference. I mean, we've had some exceptions, sure, that happens, but for somebody like him to line up the money, it would be tough. But then on the other hand, since all of last summer was talking about making this move that didn't happen, then maybe it would be easier for him to move. I just think, as we've discussed in the podcast before, it appears that he has his heart set on staying in England, which means then he can only move to one team, and that's Manchester City. So I think he's going to have to, now, it's like we're talking about like a little petulant child here, holding his breath until he gets what he wants, or in this mood. Maybe that is the answer for him. Maybe he goes to a different country. Maybe then it's a new start for him. Because there's no reason, there's nothing physically wrong with him that any of us can see. There's no reason to think there is.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think a move abroad is probably the best case scenario for Harry Kane at this point. Because it's obvious to me in Australia, it's obvious to you guys living over there in the States. So it must be blatantly obvious to football fans up and down England that he's thrown the toys out of the pram and he's trying to force a move. The media over there can be pretty vicious. Fans can be pretty vicious. I think regardless of he'd have to captain England to the World Cup to be forgiven for this kind of behaviour. So I think that's a great point, Paul. I think a move overseas might be the best solution for everybody if his form doesn't take a turn if his form doesn't improve.
Chicago Fire, go get them.
So there you have it. Let us know on our Twitter @ET_podcast what you guys think Spurs should do with the Harry Kane problem. But I think Paul had a good solution there. A move overseas would probably be best for all involved. That's enough football focus for this week. I like that one, boys. We kept it sharp, short, and to the point. And we're going to move on to what is famously the Premier League players' favourite section of this podcast. Yes, they all listen. It's time for the After Extra Time Awards. There's a plethora of potential nominees here. So let's not muck around, boys. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to go first with my goal of the weekend. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but it was a beautiful right foot volley by new Burnley signing Max Cornet that put them 2-1 up.
I was not able to see it, and I searched it before doing the pod tonight, and I still haven't found it, so I'll have to take your word for it.
It was a beauty, mate. It was absolutely lovely. It was one of those ones that I don't know if you guys get goal rush over there when the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs are all happening at the same time. And they flick around grounds and stuff. And I just had goal rush on, and there was plenty of goals going in, but that was the one that made me sit up and go, "Whoa, what a hit that was!" So he's my nominee, Max Cornet, and a kind of hilarious name too. So moving on, Paul, who is your nominee for goal of the weekend?
I'm going to go with the guy on Brentford who rescued a point for the Bees and made it so they could get. I wish I knew how to pronounce his name, but the 25-year-old Frenchman, Yoan Wissa, in the 82nd minute. It's become. It started as like a little joke on this show and this podcast, being a bee lever, but we got to believe in the Bees now.
Just for the drama of it. And this podcast is firmly a bee lever podcast. Great pick, Paul. Yoan Wissa, even though he broke my heart, the bastard. Gonzalo, who have you got for me, mate?
Well, I wish I would have had a Manchester United player, but we did not score over the weekend. So since the only other really Premier League match I paid attention to was Arsenal versus Tottenham, I will give the goal to Son, the Spurs player, who at least made it somewhat, I don't want to say respectable, but he at least got them on the scoreboard, and they didn't get shut out by their crosstown rivals. So it was a nice build-up of teamwork, and it was a nice goal. So Son, congratulations.
Who's going to win the award? Paul, I agree with your reasoning behind the Wissa goal, but just the Liverpool part of me, I can't vote for that one, mate. I just can't bring myself to do it. The Son goal was a nice one. I think Max Cornet's volley was the pick of these three. Thoughts?
I love Gonzalo's reasoning. I mean, that itself is pretty funny, but it's like, so they didn't look as garbage as they totally did. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go in determining who wins the award. And all things considered, it's probably always best to go with the one that had the most aesthetic quality. So, like I said, I didn't see it, but I have seen tweets about how nice it was to see. So,
the description was great.
Yeah, I can't promise you I'll try, but I'll try to try.
How about this? We'll leave a YouTube link in the episode description specifically for you, Paul. And in case Max wants to relive what won him the prestigious After Extra Time Goal of the Weekend award, congratulations. Moving on. Moving on to Player of the Weekend. Okay, this is interesting. I'm just looking at the show notes here. Gonzalo, you want to pass from this one?
Yeah, I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm just disappointed in our result this past week. So there is that. I pass.
Fair enough. All right, Paul. Admittedly, my choice is a weak one. So the floor, just to get it out there for everyone, I'll pick Jamie Vardy because essentially he scored a hat trick. It's just a shame that one of those goals was an own goal against Burnley. So he's my choice. It was a little bit slim pickings for me anyway to pick one standout performer. So Paul, this award is all yours. I'd like you to do the honors and just let people know and let the boys know.
Yeah, well, this one is for all of our listeners who are Arsenal fans because Lord knows we've been harsh on you guys, and as I said before, that has been deserved. But whenever I edit the Arsenal material on the website by the Arsenal writers, I do seem to pick up on this idea that what they cling to is this hope that the young kids are going to turn it around, and they're going to turn it around soon. And that's why, that's been a frequent topic on the show. How is Mikel Arteta still there? Why isn't he sacked? And you had two of them score this week. So I am giving it to two Arsenal forwards, Bukayo Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. Saka is a Golden Boy Award finalist. Big things are expected of both these young men. They both got on the scoreboard. They both gave Arsenal some hope that, the future could be here soon.
Well, there you go, boys. Congratulations. A bit of light to go along with your North London derby victory in an otherwise dim season for Arsenal. The prestigious player of the weekend. It's another tie. I think we had a tie last week too. Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe. A couple of boys that were born after the year 2000, just to make all three of us feel old. Congratulations. Enjoy, boys. And last but not least, we have match of the weekend, which this happened. Did this happen last week, Paul? I think this happened.
I think it did. Didn't we all we all had the same picks.
Yeah. This week we can talk about it, obviously, but there's no need for any arguments here because we have a unanimous decision across the three of us. Brentford versus Liverpool, the 3-3 tie. I had to take my Liverpool hat off before I nominated this one because the result, honestly, was heartbreaking. I thought this was a perfect opportunity for us to get a little bit of space between us and the chasing pack, but it wasn't to be. And this podcast is a very pro Brentford, a B-lever podcast, if you will. and they've been tremendous. Any thoughts on the game, boys?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Gonzalo, as we love to make Simpsons references to each other all the time, that, hey, that's why Smithers made me head B guy. Yeah, Homer couldn't be here today. No, it was a fun match to watch, and it was exciting. And obviously, it's a draw that was felt like a loss for Liverpool, and a draw that felt like a win for Brentford.
Yep, exactly. Well said.
Yeah, Brentford keep racking up the impressive results in the Premier League, and I don't think this will be the last time that they find themselves awarded the match of the weekend. Congratulations, Brentford. Commiserations, Liverpool, to find yourself in this category this week. All right, boys, game week 7 is just around the corner in the English Premier League, and this weekend we have two huge matches sandwiching the rest of the fixtures, with Manchester United versus Everton kicking the round off and the round being closed out by Liverpool versus Manchester City. A couple of huge matches early in the season, all four teams in the top 6. Let's start at Old Trafford, where the Red Devils face the Toffees.
I like the idea of heading into the international break with a win. As we've discussed with Solskjaer before, I think the pattern repeats itself. He does just enough to keep the Glazers happy with his performance, and then he also disappoints just enough to keep a lot of United fans upset. So there's been, I believe, 3 out of the last 4 across all competitions have been a loss. There's only been 5 out of 13 wins, so all those losses and draws. All right, well then they've got to win because this is what OGS does.
Thoughts, Gonzalo?
Yeah, I'm bracing for the best, but I'm gonna be it's gonna be an early match here in Chicago, 6:30 a.m. I believe on Saturday. Fado Irish Pub does not start serving alcohol till 7 that day, so coffee at 6:30, followed by Guinness to hopefully make the mood a little more pleasant. But yes, I'm really hoping Ole and the lads do a great job securing a comfortable win against the Scousers in blue. But yeah, but I'm definitely worried though. I do not want to leave I do not want to go on to international break with the loss. It would just be it's going to be a terrible little break with people doubting Ole and down the club, and that's the last thing this team needs. We just need to do the work and get the W.
Okay, 2 things to that, Gonzalo. Number 1, maybe bring your own alcohol to Fado's for that half an hour discrepancy there. Secondly, you do not want to lose this game right before the international break. I don't think you will. As regular listeners to the podcast will know, I like to come armed with some facts on the games that we focus a little bit more on, and these facts do shine very kindly upon Manchester United. The first of which is Manchester United have lost just one of their last 12 Premier League meetings with Everton, last going down 4-0 at Goodison Park in 2019. Does that sound right? I'm not sure if my research is sound there, but we'll move right along there. So Manchester United, 6 wins, 5 draws in their last 12 fixtures against Everton. That's an incredible fixture, incredible stat that suggests that you'll easily win. Supporting that is the fact that Everton manager Rafael Benitez has lost 7 of his last 9 Premier League away games against Manchester United. His victories came with Liverpool in 2009 and Chelsea in 2013. He doesn't have a great record at Old Trafford. I fondly remember the 2009 4-1 win, freakish goal from Andrea De Sena, I think it was. I don't remember the Chelsea one because I don't watch Chelsea matches generally. But yeah, there you go. I think easy win for Manchester United. I get you guys' apprehension, but the Rafa jinx, we'll say, he hasn't won there for almost 10 years, 8 years. And just the fact that you guys really need the win, I think you'll get the win going into the international break. That's the early kickoff on the Saturday, which it's interesting, is 6:30 a.m. Did you say, Gonzalo, for you?
Yes, sir. 6:30 a.m. Chicago time. Any United fans in Chicago, come join us.
It's 9:30 p.m. Melbourne time. That game kicks off, so that's interesting. Anyway, off to the 3 p.m. kickoffs in the UK, just to confuse everyone with the time zones. Let's just kind of rapid fire through these ones because it's not a tasty Saturday lineup. We kick things off with Burnley versus Norwich. How do we see that one going, boys?
Like I said last week, I'm not picking Norwich in anything until they finally give me a reason to.
Yeah, I mean, no comment. It'd be nice to see Norwich do something, but yeah, I'm with you, Paul. I'm not picking anything.
Norwich, just for the listeners at home, are on a 16 or is it 17? 16 or 17 game losing streak. There's no draws in there. There's no wins. Losing streak in the Premier League. And I don't see this changing. Burnley to win 1-0. But honestly, unless you're a Burnley or Norwich fan, you don't really care, do you? What were you going to say, Paul?
If you Google it, you can find a photo of Snoop Dogg wearing a Norwich City kit. He did a concert wearing one. I believe this was during the last time they were up.
Perhaps Snoop has been hanging around in the locker rooms before the kickoffs, and that could explain their lethargic displays.
Yeah, there you go, having a little wacky tobacco before the game.
Okay, boys, next up. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I predicted a cricket score against Southampton when they faced Manchester City. They managed to get a draw. This week, they face Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And I guess just going by logic, not that logic applies in football, but Southampton should at least be able to get a draw over Chelsea this weekend, right?
Oh, I'm picking Saints to win.
Oof.
I'm going out on the limb here because when I heard that N'Golo Kante is COVID-19 positive, that means he's going to sit out for a while, and they just aren't the same team without him. I mean, yes, they've got a deep talent in midfield. I'm not saying it's a death knell by any stretch for their chances in this game, but they're starting to. I mean, Lukaku has started to show some cracks last week. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be figured out, but he can be figured out. And we also there's a couple more guys who are kind of on the fence. Doubts, yeah. I mean, Mason Mount, he probably won't play in the Champions League in midweek. So this is a chance now. I think if you're playing Chelsea, I think this is the time you want to play them.
Yeah, and as a United fan, definitely want the Saints to beat Chelsea.
Absolutely. As a Liverpool fan, I want the Saints to beat Chelsea. I'm going to pick a tie, though, 0-0. You heard it here first. This is Paul's upset of the week. Southampton to knock off Chelsea. To your point about N'Golo Kante, it's not a death knell. They have a tremendous midfield. However, there's only one N'Golo Kante, isn't there? There's no player like him in world football, and it's a huge blow to have him out for any period of time. Next up, we have Leeds United hosting Watford at Elland Road. Leeds, incredibly, still without a victory. They were actually quite poor last week, and Watford find themselves 4 points ahead of them with 2 wins on the board. How's this one going, boys?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about Leeds. I guess that goes back to what I said, being found out. because that's what's happening to them this season. They were really tough out last term. I really thought they were going to be a top half of the table kind of team this year. I got to go with Watford.
I can't cheer for Leeds, so yeah, I'm going to go for Watford too.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, Paul. I think Leeds have been found out a little bit. They press hard. They're super fit. They're well equipped to play the style Bielsa likes, but they've just been found out, and that high press is always susceptible to a bit of a smash and grab. And I think Watford will probably do that, and the pain will continue at Leeds United. Watford 1-0. Next up at the Molineux, another team that's kind of flattered to deceive this season, is the Wolverhampton Wanderers. And they face nobody's favourite team, Newcastle United.
Ugh, yeah, this could be a slogfest. Unless you're a fan of either team, I'm not sure you really want to watch it. And I'm definitely going to go with the Geordies in an ugly but effective win, a 1-0.
Newcastle, I mean, I really don't know who I would go for in this match. Was Steve Bruce still coaching Newcastle? I think so. So no Newcastle.
So you go Newcastle, Gonzalo, yeah?
I said no Newcastle. Whoever.
Oh, okay.
This is Steve Bruce. You go against the Steve Bruce team.
To your point, Paul, this is going to be a slogfest unless you support either of these teams. I've made it well known that one of my favourite stadiums in the Premier League is St. James's Park. That's the only way I would watch this, is if it was at St. James's Park. It's not, so I won't be watching. I said this last week. I think it might have been about a Newcastle game too, but I wish I could pick who cares. But I can't. I have to pick someone, so I'm just going to go with a home win, 1-0, and may God have mercy on our souls for anyone that has to watch it. The late kickoff on Saturday sees surprise packets, Brighton and Hove Albion hosting Arsenal at the Amex.
Ooh, I think we got to go with Brighton here, don't we, fellas?
Absolutely. They got my vote.
Yes.
Yeah, so Brighton to kind of solidify their place in the top 6. This is unanimous pick across after extra time. You can take that one to the bank, listeners. Brighton and Hove Albion to knock off Arsenal at the Amex. We move on to the Sunday fixtures. Crystal Palace. Now, Paul, you coined this phrase a few weeks ago on the pod. This could be a sneaky good game here. Crystal Palace and Leicester City at Selhurst Park. As regular listeners to the pod will know, I've had an interesting relationship with Crystal Palace this season already. We're only 7 weeks in. But I think Crystal Palace will give as good as they get, and I think Leicester will be hungry for a victory here. I'm going to go for a score draw, a high score draw.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to go with Leicester. I think they're starting to figure it out, but I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think we could see plenty of lead changes here, actually.
Foxes for sure.
Okay, so there you go. High score draw from me, Foxes from Gonzalo, and the same from Paul with lots of lead changes. I think this could be an exciting one to watch, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for this one. It's the opposite of the Wolves-Newcastle game, let's say. Next up, we have Spurs taking on Aston Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Well, one thing I was going to add about the Arsenal, about picking Brighton to beat Arsenal, is that Arsenal didn't really look good. They just played Tottenham. And given how...
Brilliant. I love that. Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, so there's my answer for this game too, man.
This could be a turgid affair, unless somehow Harry Kane can turn it around, or I just don't see how this could be good to watch for anyone. Aston Villa, for me, this is my upset of the week. They took the scalp of Manchester United last week, and they're going to take the far less coveted scalp of Tottenham Hotspur, but still surprising all the same. I'm going to go another 1-0 victory with Harry Kane doing a Roberto Baggio in the 90th minute to equalise. Gonzalo?
Aston Villa just beat United. I actually want them to suffer. So I'm hoping Spurs do a number on them, even though I don't want Spurs to win. But I'd rather see Aston Villa lose right now. That's how mad I am at them.
Okay, next up at the Olympic Stadium, you can read all about the host here, West Ham United, by this brilliant young journalist at the sportsbank.net, and they host Brentford. This podcast is a Believer podcast. I think I've said that ad nauseum this week. How do we see this one going, boys?
Well, it's too bad I have not had a chance to edit the latest content from this website's brilliant young West Ham United beat writer, then I would have more to say on it. But I do like the Hammers. I find they're intriguing. I am a believer, but nah, I see West Ham as kind of like the best of the rest among the big six.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I definitely like being a believer, but I don't know. I think West Ham take this one, but we'll see. I definitely have no rooting horse or racehorse in this race.
Well, just to cover the spectrum here, I'm going to say it's going to be a score draw. I do concur with your thoughts on West Ham, Paul. I do think they are the best of the rest. They are in contention to be the fifth best team in the league this year. Going back to our football focus all the way on our debut episode, we said that's probably their ceiling, and I think that remains true. I might have said on that episode that they can't repeat it. I'm fully prepared to eat my words given the start to the season that they've had. But in this one, I'm going to go a score draw just because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Brentford. Okay, we've had the top of the sandwich. We've had the delicious filling, not so delicious in some cases. Wolves, Newcastle, I'm looking at you. But now we've got the bottom bit of the bread of the Premier League sandwich this weekend, and it is Liverpool versus Manchester City at Anfield. Boys, I could not be more pumped up for this game.
Yeah, can I pick who cares? Oh, you knew you knew I was going to do something like that. Yeah, no, I'm excited for this one too. Obviously, this is the headliner fixture of the weekend. I think it's going to be great. Jurgen Klopp, I know a lot of United guys who wish they had gotten Jurgen Klopp. I'm sure he's going to do one of his usual routines he does, in which I believe a couple of years ago, it's like, we are like Rocky as they are like Ivan Drago. Whereas Manchester City, they can go out and buy whoever they want. Here at Liverpool, we have financial limitations. We have our mentality giants, But no, that's his technique. He always, even though these teams are relatively at equal footing, he likes to put City as being that Goliath and they are David. So that'll be interesting. But I'm gonna go with the Reds in this one. I think this is just too much. Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea, Liverpool in the same week. I think it's going to take its toll. So I'm going to go with the Reds, maybe 2-1.
Okay, fantastic. I like the confidence, Paul. Gonzalo, what do you got for me, mate?
I am not rooting for Liverpool. I hear, are they? Yeah, so no, if I have to cheer on City for this, I think I will. I think I saw a stat that Liverpool are unbeaten so far this season. And I'd definitely like to see that change ASAP. So City 2-1.
That's right. Liverpool's the only team not to drop points in the Premier League.
Yes, and that brings me great joy. Great joy. But I'm not going to get distracted. I'm just going to be very professional here and push on with my usual facts that I bring to these games that we like to focus on a little closer. The first interesting fact, this is one that was surprising to me as well when I read it. Liverpool have not lost consecutive league games against Manchester City since a run of 4 losses between 1935 and 1937. Now, considering they went down 4-1 last time these sides met in February, I feel like that's an interesting stat. I mean, that would kind of suggest that worst case scenario, Liverpool will draw here. And the other one I had, you guys stepped on already. We're actually the only unbeaten side in the Premier League this season, and we're actually unbeaten in our last 16 games. the longest current run without defeat in the 4 tiers of English football. So there you go. I did say I was going to be very professional, and just as I'm reading these
I hate you guys right now.
Actually, yeah, you know what? It's just even worse. You guys are the only team that is unbeaten across all competitions because you guys have won your Moose Cup game, and you guys won both your Champions League games, and no one else can say that.
Absolutely. And as I said, it brings me great joy. I wish you guys could see me. I have a massive smile on my face right now. The Champions League win this morning was a beautiful thing to watch. Check out the highlights if you haven't.
Okay. This is my rooting for the asteroid to destroy the Earth game. This is my rooting for both sides to lose game.
All right, Gonzalo, it was fantastic having you on. Before we leave, do you have anything you'd like to tell our listeners about?
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Paul. It's been a blast to talk football with you. I definitely hope next time I'm on, United are at the top of the table. The only thing I really want to plug is, if you're in Chicago, please join us at Fado Irish Pub. We are the Manchester United fans of Chicago. That's MUF Chicago. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We're a happy group of Reds, and definitely like to cheer with every United fan possible. So please join us in Chicago at Fado Irish Pub. And we're also keep your eyes open for our charity raffle event, which will happen sometime in November. We're gathering some great United prizes. I saw some of the pictures that being shared by our current president, Aaron. We have signed autographs of Harry Maguire, Rashi, and some a good signed jersey as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and all going to a good cause of the Little Red Devils of Chicago Top Soccer.
Fantastic. Sounds like a great opportunity for Manchester United fans to jump on and maybe score themselves a little bit of merch while supporting a worthy cause also. Paul, as always, it has been a pleasure, my friend. What have you got going on to let the folks at home know about?
Well, coming off a kind of impromptu book signing watch party at Fado last weekend, which turned out pretty well and definitely exceeded expectations. This is one I've had on the calendar for a long time. I'm going to be appearing at True to the Craft Fair. I'll be alongside my publisher, Rick Kempfer. He'll be signing copies of his book, Every Cub Ever. True to the Craft Fair is arts, crafts at a craft brewery in Blue Island, which is a suburb of Chicago, and actually is pretty close to where I grew up. So it'll be fun to come back to my roots, get outside, sign some books, sell some books. Last week I plugged my mom and my Aunt Anna. This week I'm plugging my appearance at the craft fair.
All right, we'll go catch up with Paul there at the True to the Craft Fair on Blue Island in Chicago. I've actually got something to plug this week. I've authored a couple of children's books. They're called Sunny the Sloth. There's Sunny the Sloth Goes to Tryouts and Sunny the Sloth Goes to School. There's a third book on the way. I'll drop the link in the episode description. But if you've got any kids, any of the listeners out there, grab them. They'll love them. But anyway, that's it for another episode of After Extra Time. Be sure to follow us at our Twitter account, at AfterET_podcast. Who's got at After Extra Time? Get at me. I want that username. Be sure to get all your latest football news at thesportsbank.net. And last but not least, follow the third member of the pod. Show him some love by following at Otis Ginger Tabby on Insta. That's Gonzalo Del Rio. He's Paul M. Banks. I'm Stuart Kavanagh, and this has been After Extra Time. Catch you next week.